are not speaking to mute their microphone. If we do detect background noise during the meeting as a result of unmuted microphones, I'll provide a brief friendly reminder or simply mute your microphone. There are members of the public in the audience and meeting minutes are being taken, so I'll ask members and staff to please identify yourself before speaking. And when we do get to a point where we're taking public comment, we will put instructions on the screen and use the WebEx Q&A feature. I will announce that and give directions. At this point, I'm going to begin recording the meeting. You'll hear a loud announcement, and then I will turn it over to Chi Elder.
This meeting is being recorded.
It's the top of the hour. I think we can get started. Good morning. I am Chi Elder, Chair of the Professional Fiduciaries Bureau Advisory Committee. I'm calling this meeting to order at 10 a.m. This meeting is held on December 8th, 2021 via WebEx teleconference and WebEx and webcast, pursuant to Government Code Section 11133. This meeting will be held by teleconference with no physical public locations. I would like to ask our WebEx moderator to please explain the format of this meeting.
Certainly. Our public comment feature will be referred to as the Q&A feature in the lower, typically the lower right corner of your screen. You will see a question mark inside a box. At that point, I will turn that on when the Q&A is open. At that point, you'll click on that, type the word comment into the box and hit send, and we will take everyone's comment in the order received. You will have 2 minutes to speak with a 30-second warning. And we ask that you not speak more than once. And I believe that is all the instruction we needed. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to call, thank you. Item number 2 at this time, I would like to ask Angela to call roll to establish a quorum.
Good morning. As I call each of your names, if you could say that you're present. Chi Elder.
Present.
Bertha Sanchez Hayden.
Present.
James Moore.
Present.
Wendy Hatch.
Present.
Denise Nellison.
Present.
And Elizabeth Ichikawa.
Present.
Thank you. With 6 members present, we do have a quorum.
Thank you, Angela. Item number 3 of the agenda, I would like to ask the committee members and Bureau staff to introduce themselves. I will start. I am Chi Elder, Chair of the Advisory Committee. I am an appointed public member representing the Senate Rules Committee. And as I call your name, please introduce yourself. Bertha Sanchez Hayden.
Good morning. As stated, my name is Bertha Sanchez Hayden, Vice Chair, public member, and appointed to represent nonprofits serving seniors.
Thank you. Wendy Hatch.
Good morning. I am a private professional fiduciary licensed in the state of California.
Thank you. James Moore.
Good morning. I'm a licensed private professional fiduciary in the state of California, mainly in Sacramento.
Thank you. Denise Nellison.
I am a retired social worker, and I've been working with seniors for about 30 years.
Thank you. Elizabeth Ichikawa.
Good morning. I am the supervising court investigator in Solano County.
Thank you. Rebecca May.
Good morning. I'm Rebecca May. I'm the Bureau Chief. I have been in this position since 2017, and I am also an appointee. Thank you.
Thank you. Fred Chanyu.
Fred Chanyu, DCA Legal.
Thank you. And Angela Cadara.
Hi, I'm Angela Quadra, and I am the program analyst for the Professional Fiduciaries Bureau.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 4, please allow me to briefly address this agenda item. California law prohibits advisory committee members from discussing or taking action on any matter not on the agenda. However, this item offers an opportunity to the public to comment on items that are not listed on today's agenda. Please be aware that public comment during this agenda item should provide information to the advisory committee members and is not meant to be a discussion between the advisory committee and the public. Though this may seem at times like advisory committee members or Bureau staff are not being responsive, following these guidelines is critical to ensuring the rules of the Open Meeting Act are followed. Before the committee asks for public comments, I ask individuals making comments to not discuss pending complaints, pending licensing applications, or pending disciplinary actions that may come before the Bureau's legal counsel. Such discussions are considered ex parte communications by potentially providing information to the Bureau's legal counsel outside of the administrative record in a case. The committee strongly asks that you also respect the privacy of others by not revealing the names, other personal information, and conditions of any individual involved in any case of complaint. The advisory committee can receive complaints regarding the Bureau's processes in general, but it cannot receive comments on specific cases. If you want the committee to discuss a topic not on the agenda, you may request that item be considered for a future meeting agenda. However, a request does not obligate the Bureau to fulfill that request. If your comment is related to an item on today's agenda, please wait until we get to that agenda item. Comments at this time are only for items not on the agenda. To allow the committee sufficient time to conduct its full schedule of business, public comments will be limited to 2 minutes apiece. Please do not duplicate or replicate the comments of a previous speaker. I will now ask the moderator to call for public comments.
Thank you. So the Q&A feature of WebEx has been started, and typically in the lower right corner of your WebEx screen, you will see the box with a question mark inside a square. If you'd like to hit that, you'll bring up a text box. You can type in the word comment and hit send to all participants. We'll give people a moment to locate that feature. I do not see any requests for public comment at this time. Shall I close that?
Yes, please. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Moving on to item number 5. Rebecca, would you please read the Bureau's mission statement?
Thank you. To protect consumers through licensing, education, and enforcement of the Professional Fiduciaries Act by promoting and upholding competency and ethical standards across the profession.
Thank you. Any comment from the committee members? Thank you. To allow the committee sufficient time to conduct its full schedule of business, public comments at the end of each agenda item will be limited to 2 minutes apiece. Is there any public comment on this item?
I will open the Q&A feature of WebEx. And if you would like to make a comment on the mission statement, you may click the question mark inside a box icon, typically at the lower right corner, or if you're on a mobile device, you can click the 3-dot other options icon to find the Q&A button. Type the word comment into the text box and hit send. We'll take comments in the order received. And I see no requests for public comment. Shall I close that feature?
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Rebecca. Moving on to item number 6. Are there any suggested edits by the committee members to the September 15th, 2021 meeting minutes?
Yes, this is Wendy Hatch, committee member. On number 10, the last bullet point, where within the public comment, The last sentence basically starts, Ms. May stated that the number of licensees is steadily but slowly increasing. Oh, I'm sorry. Another member of the public commented that one complainant must have taken much longer to close as a result of the average of 717 days to close. He would like for the Bureau to categorize the type of the complaints that have been investigated. And the Bureau has determined that it is not violation when the licensee bills more than 24 hours a day. The very last portion, it says, and the Bureau. I think it should be clarified that the comment person, the public comment person stated that the Bureau has not determined that it is not a violation, but it was an open public comment stating that he believes that the violation is, that the licensee can bill for more than 24 hours, if that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Are there any other comments? Is there a
Hi.
motion? I'm sorry.
Hi, I just wanted to pipe in, and I think that Wendy, this is Rebecca May. I think that Wendy's edit is a good one. I think that that last line is unclear, and so it's a bit of a run on, and I apologize for that. But I think that that's an appropriate fix. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, this is Wendy Hatch again. I move that we approve the minutes as corrected and or made additions to from our September meeting.
Thank you. Is there a second to the motion?
This is Denise Nelson. I second the motion.
Any discussion from the committee members? Any public comment?
This is the moderator. I've opened up the Q&A feature of WebEx. It can typically be found in the lower right corner of your computer screen, or if you're on a mobile device, you can click the 3-dot other options icon to find the Q&A button, and then type the word comment into the text box and hit send. Comments will be taken in the order received. If you have any comments on the minutes and the amendment to the minutes, please send your comment now. And I see no request for public comment. I can close that feature.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Angela, would you please do a vote by roll call?
Before I start the vote, I just want to clarify on that line, it's the very last line of the public comment section, and it says, and that the Bureau has determined. As I understand it, you want to change it to say, and that the commenter stated the Bureau. Is that correct?
Wendy,
Yes,
would you please confirm or clarify the edit?
I think the edit is sufficient.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Angie, this is Fred, DCA Legal Counsel. I thought the edit was the commenter believes that the Bureau has determined. I thought that was the edit.
I like the word believes added in there much better too.
And okay, so that was the edit, right? So just to clarify for the record, the edit that is right now on the motion is changing the word to the commenter believes, etc., right? Or stated that he believes, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so as I do the roll call, a yes vote will be accepting the minutes with the amendment to read, the commenter stated that he believes, be changed in that sentence. So as I read your name, please let me know if you approve. Chi Elder,
Yes.
Bertha Sanchez Hayden,
Yes.
James Moore,
Agree.
Wendy Hatch,
Yes.
Denise Mellison,
Yes.
and Elizabeth Ishikawa.
Yes.
Okay, as 6 members are in favor, these minutes will be posted as amended within that section. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Item number 7, I would like to invite the Department of Consumer Affairs executive staff to present their update.
Good morning. Can everyone continue to hear me okay? Great. Well, good morning, committee members. I'm Brianna Miller with Board and Bureau Relations at the Department of Consumer Affairs. Thank you for allowing me an opportunity to provide a department update to your committee today. To begin my update, I'd like to first discuss COVID-19 safety measures and telework. DCA appreciates all board members, committee members, and staff who have continued to serve through a pandemic that has affected us all in many ways. We are working together to find the right balance of staying connected and productive while keeping safe and healthy. DCA and its boards and bureaus continue to look to the future and use lessons learned to identify long-term efficiencies and policy changes. Staff are working in the office to provide the most effective consumer protection and public service while also utilizing telework where appropriate. Next, I'll discuss testing and vaccination verification. To combat the spread of COVID-19 and protect vulnerable communities, California has implemented enhanced safety measures for state employees and workers in healthcare settings. State employees must show proof of vaccination or be subject to regular COVID-19 testing. DCA's testing program kicked off in early October with the launch of the DCA Headquarters 1 pilot site, and select programs are designated to test at Headquarters 1, and that list of programs recently expanded due to the capabilities of the site. Board and committee members must follow health and safety protocols if they plan to visit a DCA location or attend in-person meetings. Members must verify vaccination or follow testing protocols. So please communicate any plans for in-person meetings as soon as possible so that DCA can assist with coordination of teleconference options for the public, vaccination verification, and COVID-19 testing. Next, I'll discuss remote meetings. DCA recognizes the difficulty of planning for future meetings as the pandemic continues to evolve. As the law stands today, remote meetings are allowed until January 31, 2022, after which time meetings will need to be in person in accordance with all aspects of the Open Meetings Act. We don't know what additional changes to the law may be coming, but I think we all recognize there are benefits to remote meeting options, such as increased public participation, cost savings, and a lower carbon footprint due to reduced travel. DCA encourages boards and bureaus to continue utilizing remote options for public participation wherever possible, and can provide support for hybrid meetings at DCA's Headquarters 2 location. We will keep you updated on any additional changes to meeting requirements or technical capabilities for meeting format. Moving on to a note about appointments and recruitment. Whether meeting remote or in person, DCA wants to help keep your committee fully seated and with excellent members and diverse voices. As of today, the advisory committee has 1 vacancy, a licensed member appointed by the governor. DCA's communications team has been working on a new communications toolkit to assist boards and committees with member recruitment, which will be available in multiple languages before the end of the year. In the meantime, I encourage individuals who are interested in serving on the committee to visit the Board Member Resources Center on DCA's homepage to apply for an appointment. And finally, I'd like to provide you with a reminder about the required board member trainings. And that reminder is 2021 is a mandatory sexual harassment prevention training year. This means that all employees and board and committee members are required to complete the training during this year, which is rapidly approaching its end. You can access this training through the Learning Management System, or LMS for short, which is DCA's training portal. You can also register for the Board Member Orientation Training, or BMOT, in the LMS, and we are happy to report that 2022 training dates are now available, and those virtual trainings will be held in March, June, and October of 2022. This is a required training for all newly appointed and reappointed members, and we also encourage any member to take the training if they seek a refresher as well. Board and Bureau Relations is happy to assist you with any questions or concerns you may have about these trainings or the use of LMS. And that concludes my presentation. As always, Board and Bureau Relations is here to help. And if there's anything we can do to assist your Bureau or Advisory Committee, please do not hesitate to reach out. And with that, I'll hand it back over to Chair Elder. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any comment from the committee members? Thank you. Any public comment?
This is the moderator. At the direction of the chair, I've opened the Q&A feature of WebEx. We're sharing instructions on the screen. If you'd like to make a public comment on the DCA executive staff update, you can hit the Q&A question mark inside a box, typically located in the lower right corner of your WebEx screen, or on a mobile device, you can click the 3-dot other options icon to find the Q&A button. Type the word comment into that text box and hit send. Commenters will be taken in the order received, and each commenter will have a 2-minute time limit. And at this point, I do not see any requests for public comment. Shall I close that?
Yes, thank you. Item number 8 of the agenda, I would like to invite the Department of Consumer Affairs Budget Office to present the budget update.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Harmony DiFilippo, and I'm the budget analyst with DCA. I'm going to walk through the documents with you today that were provided in pages 19, 20, and 21. The first page here is the Bureau's fund condition, and it shows a view of 4 years. So you have your prior year actuals, our current year, budget year, and budget year plus 1. So if you look down in the middle section here, the revenue for current year is projected at $736,000, and for total resources of 1,081. And if you scroll down to the next page, please. Can we rotate that? Perfect, thank you. And this here is showing the expenditures. So for current year, this is based off of FM2 projections from your Budget Act as of July 1. So your total expenditures are projected at $701,000. And our reserve is $380,000 with 6.5 months in reserve. As of right now, the fund has a healthy reserve, and we will continue to monitor and provide recommendations to the chief, Rebecca, on a monthly basis. And again, this includes our current year as of July 1 and our budget year, which we are in the process of building. And with our next meeting, we'll be able to include a better look at budget year, including any current year adjustments. And do I have any questions before I move on to the next page of projections? Okay, so the next page here is an overview of the projections for expenditures. And again, this is based on FM2 data. So for your first section, it's your personnel services. So projected to year end, 370. And then down below is your operating expense and equipment. So your OE&E with your total projected to year end at 253. With your overall total for the fund expenditures, 624, which leaves close to $9,000 for 1.4% reversion. I will note that these are conservative projections at this point. Again, this data was based on FM2. So we will continue to provide recommendations to the chief as needed on a monthly basis. Do I have any other questions to the projections? Okay, thank you very much for your time, and I'll be on the call for a few minutes if there are any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any comments from the committee members? Do we have any public comment?
This is the moderator. At the direction of the chair, I've opened the Q&A feature of WebEx. We're sharing instructions on the screen. If you'd like to make a public comment on the budget presentation, please click on the question mark icon, typically in the lower right corner of your WebEx screen. Or if you're on a mobile device, you can click the 3-dot other options icon to find the Q&A button. You can type the word comment into the text box and click send. Comments will be taken in the order received, and commenters will have a 2-minute time limit. And at this point, I do not see any requests for public comment. Shall I close the Q&A feature?
Yes, thank you. Item number 9 of the agenda. I would like to invite the Department of Consumer Affairs Legislative Office to present the legislative update.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Gregory Pruden. I'm a legislative manager with the Department of Consumer Affairs. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Chief. I'm here to talk about agenda item number 9 related to the legislative update. There should be, which just popped up on the screen in your meeting materials, this document. We can kind of follow along together. Before we jump into some of the bills, I want to talk about a few important dates that will be relevant for this upcoming legislative year. Obviously, October 10th has already come and gone, and that was the day by which the governor needed to act on bills. So bills that were acted on by that date, signed by the governor, will take effect on January 1st of the new year. The legislature will reconvene on January 3rd. And then business will commence pretty fast and furious from there, because this will be the second year of the 2-year session. So there are a host of bills, some of which are on our list that we'll talk about, which are considered 2-year bills. And those bills will need to be acted on fairly quickly in January. Depending on where the bill is located, the bill will need to be acted on either January 17th, if it is a bill that is a fiscal related bill still in a policy committee. It will need to be acted on, January 14th. Bills that are in any committee need to be acted on by January 21st to be reported to the floor. And January 31st is the last day for each house to pass bills that were introduced last year. So a pretty aggressive hearing schedule for 2-year bills in January. I think the last important date that's worth mentioning coming in the new year will be February 18th. And that will be the day by which new bills must be introduced. Okay, jumping into bills related to the Bureau. We've got first one, which is a 2-year bill, AB 29 by Cooper, related to meetings. This bill, I'm not going to read everything here related to every bill, but in a nutshell, this bill requires a state body's meeting notice to include all writings and materials, and they must be posted 3 days in advance of the meeting or be provided to anybody who requests them. This bill is a 2-year bill. This bill is located in the Appropriations Committee, so it will need to be moving fairly quickly in January should it have any hope of success. Next bill is AB 260, related to guardianships, and this bill was enacted, signed by the governor this year, so it will take effect in January. This bill requires a court to have good cause to waive a local child welfare services agency's investigation, makes several changes related to the KINGAP program as well. Again, this bill was signed and will take effect in January. The next bill, AB 339, related also to open meetings. This bill was vetoed, so it is done. It is dead. Made it all the way to the governor's desk, and he vetoed it. So this bill will not be one that will be moving in the new year. It could always be reintroduced by this author or another author. So it'll be something that we'll be looking for. But this bill would have made a series of changes, mostly at the local government level, related to open meetings. But again, this bill was vetoed, so nothing that folks need to worry about at the moment. AB 465. This bill was signed into law, and so will take effect, but it has a bit of a delayed implementation. This bill requires professional fiduciary licenses to have 1 hour of instruction in cultural competency beginning January 1 of 23, and new licensees will need to take 1 hour in their initial education as well. This bill will require some regulatory changes, most likely on the Bureau side to implement. Some of you probably are aware that this bill has, this was not the first attempt that this author made on this bill, but finally it was successful, and so this will be a change for renewals and newly licensed professional fiduciaries. Okay. Next bill is, scrolling down here, AB 574. This is also a 2-year bill. So much like I mentioned earlier, this bill will need to move fairly quickly in January if it has any hope of success next year. This bill would establish a procedure for the appointment of a guardian ad litem for a person who lacks capacity to make rational, informed decisions regarding medical care, mental health care, etc. We'll have to sort of stay tuned in terms of what happens with these 2-year bills. Some of you may be aware that this past year, the legislature sort of put caps, if you will, on the number of bills that authors could move. So authors need to make some hard choices in terms of what bills they're actually going to sort of, put their bandwidth behind and push forward. So we should know on these 2-year bills fairly soon in the coming, days and weeks what plans authors have for them. So more to come on 574. AB 596, appointed legal counsel. Bill will require an attorney who determines a conservatee or proposed conservatee is unable to communicate to report this inability to the court. Puts a couple requirements on the court from there. Again, 2-year bill, should know fairly soon what the disposition of this bill will be. AB 885, 2020 seemed and 2021 seemed to be like the year for public meetings and teleconferencing and all of that. This bill, similarly to the others, would have made changes regarding meetings, would have required a state body that elects to conduct a meeting or proceeding by teleconference to make that the portion that is required to be open to the public, both audibly and visually observable. A series of other changes regarding to audio and visual means of meeting. Again, 2-year bill. We'll see what happens. Some of these public meetings and open meetings bills, there have been efforts to possibly extend some of these provisions that we've been enjoying under COVID. So more to come vis-a-vis the legislature and the administration on all of these open meetings type of bills. AB 1062. Conservators and guardians, disposition of property. This bill would authorize a guardian or conservator of the state to dispose of or abandon valueless property only after providing 15 days written notice and reasonable access to all persons who receive the notice. Again, 2-year bill, so we should know fairly soon what the author has planned for this one. AB 1194, which I know is Rebecca's favorite bill because of all of the implementation that it requires. I'm joking. This bill is huge. I'm sure you guys talked a lot about this bill at your previous meetings, but makes a series of changes regarding conservatorships and how the courts and the Bureau will be interacting together. Also makes a series of changes regarding the posting of fees that professional fiduciaries must provide on their websites. So the Bureau, this bill was signed into law. The Bureau is developing implementation plans for this bill. And I'm sure you guys will be talking more about some of those implementation plans in the coming weeks and months. SB 602, review conservatorships, care plans, also a 2-year bill. So more to come here soon. This bill would require a conservator within 30 days of appointment and 30 days before a hearing to submit a care plan regarding the care, custody, and control of the conservatee. Requires the Judicial Council to develop for the care plan. SB 607, this bill, it was, for whatever reason, the December 21st status is missing here, but this bill was signed into law, was chaptered, so it will become effective at the beginning of the year. This bill extended the sunset dates for several programs by an additional year. The Professional Fiduciaries Bureau had been scheduled to deliver its report this fall for the anticipation of sunset hearings early next spring. The Bureau will now be submitting a report next fall, so the fall of 22, with a sunset hearing to follow thereafter. So this bill gave the Bureau and several programs an additional year extension. It also waives the application fee and any initial or original fee for military spouse applicants. And 826, this is a big omnibus bill, committee bill, made a series of just technical changes, some cleanup changes for the Bureau coming out of the Bureau's last sunset related to the work experience requirements. And this bill was enacted and will be effective at the first of the year. That is the update that I have for you folks. Happy to take questions or further explain anything that I've mentioned.
Thank you. Do we have any comments or questions from the committee members?
Hi, this is Wendy
Denise.
Hatch.
Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
Hi, Wendy.
I thought AB 1194 was actually taken off the table.
No, AB 1194 was signed into law.
1194?
Correct.
Wait, maybe I have the wrong one. But wow, 1194 was signed in. Well, Rebecca, can you chime in on this and remind us which notification was just posted on the Bureau, or what bill was muted by the Bureau?
I think you might be thinking about our client notification regulation, which is separate from this.
You're
Is the
absolutely correct.
conservatorship
I'm sorry.
bill.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you. And we'll talk about that later in the agenda.
This is Denise Nelson. I just had a question on the same bill, 1194. I was reading the bill and it said that professional fiduciaries can be fined $10,000 if they some way abuse a conservatee, but that unlicensed fiduciaries would only be fined $1,000. Is that correct?
I am pulling the bill up and trying to find the specific section. Yeah, it looks like you're talking about section 17 of the bill, and I'm just quickly reviewing that. That appears to be the case. Professional fiduciary licensed by the Bureau, if the court makes a finding that they have abused a conservatee, they shall be liable for up to $10,000. If the court finds that a conservator who is not a professional fiduciary licensed by the Bureau has abused a conservatee, they would be fined for up to $1,000. So that appears to be correct, yes.
I would think that that would make people not want to be licensed.
I suppose you're speaking to like the potential for a chilling effect, right? Like why would I want to subject myself to a fine that's potentially 10 times greater?
Correct.
Suppose that's possible.
I think there might, and this is Rebecca, I think there might be an expectation that the licensees know better than if a family member is appointed. I don't know. Abuse is a pretty high bar.
This is Denise again. In terms of the schedule of fees, is that mostly just going to be hourly, what your hourly rate is?
Rebecca, did you want to speak to that?
Give me just a moment to pull up the language.
Yeah, I think while Rebecca's doing that, I mean, the statute does say including but not limited to hourly fees for services offered. I don't know if that helps your question, Denise.
Well, can someone just, I don't know, just say only put hourly fees in there? I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of,
yeah.
I mean, there's so much
it says a licensee with an
fees.
internet website shall post on that internet website a schedule or range of the licensee's fees, including but not limited to hourly fees. So it sounds to me at a minimum the hourly fee.
Right. I think my understanding is they want transparency, right? So if there are some services that are charged like an hourly rate, if there's some services that are charged flat rate, they want all of that.
So as I understand
that wasn't clear to me. It seemed like they could choose what they wanted to do in regards to their fees.
All right. I'm confused what you mean by choose. What this statute is requiring is the posting on an internet website. I think that I'm not aware of, I think that you guys as licensees have broad authority to kind of charge your fees in different ways. But this is about this posting of a schedule or range. So all of the services that a professional fiduciary provides, some of those might be charged hourly, some of them might be charged flat rate or vice versa. So including but not limited to, the goal here is transparency for what services are being charged. That's the goal.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This is Berta Sanchez Hayden. May I ask a question about SB 602, the 2-year bill for the care plan?
Sure.
I'm just curious how they distinguish care plan from the already required form of GC 355, the determination of appropriate level of conservative care. Has there been discussion or comparison of that form that seems to already accomplish what the care plan is seeking to accomplish?
I'll have to be honest with you that I'm not prepared to answer that question. I don't have the familiarity with the other document that you mentioned to adequately inform an answer. I do apologize.
No problem. Thank you for your very thorough presentation this morning. Much appreciated.
Yeah, you're welcome. I don't know, Rebecca, if you have anything that you could say about the 602 in that care plan question.
I do not know the specifics of that other code section, but we can certainly look into it and report back at the next meeting.
Thank you. And just for clarification, it's an already existing judicial counsel form, GC 355. Thank you.
Any other comments from committee members or questions? Do we have any public comments?
This is the moderator, and I will open up the Q&A feature for public comments. If you do have a comment, you can look for the Q&A box, typically in the lower right corner of your WebEx screen, or if you're on a mobile device, click the 3 dots icon to find the Q&A. Once you hit that, you will have a text box. You can type the word comment there and hit send. We will take comments in the order received, and each commenter will have 2 minutes. And these are for comments on the legislative presentation. And I see no requests for public comment. Shall I close that feature?
Yes, thank you. And thank you to our committee members for your questions and comments.
You're welcome.
And I'm not quite sure how do we follow up with the questions that is just an update in the next meeting, Rebecca?
Yes, we can provide an update at the next meeting.
Great, thank you. Moving on to item number 10. Rebecca, would you please present the Bureau updates?
Thank you and good morning. So the Bureau's most recent statistics can be found in the meeting materials if you want to follow along with me. So our complaint statistics for fiscal year 2021 to 22, this represents a snapshot in time between July 1st, the start of the fiscal year, to the end of October. During this time frame, we initiated 0 cases with the Attorney General. We issued 0 citations. We received 34 complaints. We closed 41 complaints. We have 100 on October 31st. We had 103 complaints pending, and the average days to close during this time frame was 506 days. So I recognize that 506 is still rather high. It is down from the 717 that I reported at our last meeting. And as I stated at that meeting, there's no hard deadlines for closing complaints, and more complex involved investigations will simply take more time. Moving on to licensing, again, it's the same time frame, July 1st, the start of the fiscal year 2021 through October 31st. We issued 25 new licenses. As of the 31st, we had 842 active licenses. We have, as of that date, we have issued, since the bureaus started issuing licenses in 2008, 1,280 licensees total, and we received 36 new applications. So moving on to outreach, unfortunately, the Bureau did not attend any outreach events this last quarter. If there are outreach events that the public or our advisory committee members would like for Bureau staff to attend, please contact the Bureau. Our newsletter is almost finished, and once it's ready, will be disseminated to the interested parties list. I am doing my best to see that it could go out by the end of the year or early January. As always, if there's information you believe would be good to communicate to the public and to our licensees via the newsletter, please do not hesitate to reach out to the Bureau. So delays in mail delivery and receipt. So delays in mail delivery and receipt appear to have improved since the Bureau closed its post office box. We ask that anyone mailing something to the Bureau to do it to the Bureau's physical address, 1625 North Market Street, Suite S 209, Sacramento, California 95834. If you would like confirmation that your correspondence was received, please send it via a delivery method that allows for your correspondence to be tracked. If you are a licensee and any part of your renewal was returned to you, please resend your correspondence to the Bureau's physical address and include a copy of the returned envelope. Also, to assist the Bureau in further shortening our processing times, initial annual statements and annual statements can be sent to the Bureau by email to pfbrenewals@dca.ca.gov or by fax to 916-574-8645. All emailed statements will receive a confirmation of receipt by email. If you submit your statement by email or fax, please do not send a duplicate copy in the mail. So moving on to the strategic plan communication and outreach objective. So during our next agenda item, we'll be discussing goal number 2 of the Bureau's strategic plan related to enforcement. However, at our next meeting in March, I would like the advisory committee to turn its focus on goal number 3, communications and outreach. This goal has 6 objectives, which are listed in the meeting materials. Most of these are in progress or completed, but I would like to agendize objective 3.5 at the next meeting. That objective reads, collaborate to identify opportunities for participation in outreach events to increase awareness of the Bureau and the fiduciary profession. So this might have some overlap with the licensing goals that we discussed at the last meeting, but I think it's an important one to revisit. There haven't been very many opportunities for the Bureau to conduct outreach recently for obvious reasons. It seems that senior events that staff would typically attend have been canceled. This pause has given us the opportunity to create a new plan moving forward when the pandemic finally eases. So we'll agendize objective 3.5 at our next meeting to allow the committee members to bring forth ideas for discussion. So that's my update. If anyone has any questions, it's not as long as last time's.
Thank you, Rebecca. Do we have any comments from community members? Any public comment?
This is the moderator. I'll be opening the Q&A feature of WebEx to facilitate public comment. If you'd like to make a comment on this, you can look for the question mark inside a box icon, typically in the lower right corner of your WebEx computer screen. Or if you're on a mobile device, you can click on the 3 dots, other options, and then you'll find a Q&A box. Click on that. In the text box, type the word comment and send. Each commenter will have 2 minutes to comment, and we will take people in the order received. And at this point, I do not see any requests for public comment. Shall I close that feature?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
I
Rebecca.
apologize. I said I flubbed our address. It's Boulevard, not street. So it's 1625 North Market Boulevard, Suite S209. Sorry about that.
Thank you. And just for clarification, that address is noted on the website, correct?
Yes, it's on our website. It's on all of our forms. It's updated in our regulations. It's everywhere. So, and it's pretty clear and prominent when you go to the Bureau's website. And it'll be in the newsletter.
Thank you, Rebecca. Moving on to item number 11. Rebecca, would you please open the discussion on strategic planning for item 2.4?
Yes. Thank you. So at our last meeting, the advisory committee members helped move the Bureau along in its licensing objective. On today's agenda is an objective related to enforcement, determining the feasibility of utilizing an internal consultant to assist with enforcement. I probably should have explained this a little better, this objective at our last meeting, to give you some time to think it over. Prior to my tenure with the Bureau contracted with an internal consultant, a licensee, to assist in reviewing cases. Enforcement staff would provide a verbal summary of complaints, and the consultant would provide their advice on how to proceed. Unfortunately, once the internal consultant moved on, the Bureau did not search for a replacement. I think if the Bureau's budget allows, this is something that the Bureau should consider again, because a licensee would have insight into the profession that Bureau staff would find valuable. I also think it may help alleviate the backlog of open complaints. The Bureau does currently contract with a small pool of subject matter experts when occasionally needed for enforcement cases, which is a different type of work, but these SMEs can be difficult to find. The ideal candidate has years of experience as a licensed professional fiduciary and a deep understanding of the profession, but is willing to work for the Bureau at the Bureau's rate of pay. To be clear, it should not be an advisory committee member. We could advertise in the newsletter or send something out to our interested parties list, but I'd like to hear the committee's thoughts on how we might find the right candidates to assist the Bureau in this way. With that, love to open it up to everyone.
This is Wendy Hatch. I have a couple of questions. So your internal consultant, does the licensee have to give up their current practice? Or can they still remain as a practicing fiduciary?
No, they would still remain as a practicing fiduciary.
And then what type of liability and well, is it going to be like fully transparent where you receive the information from, or is there going to be some confidentiality who's going to be a member of this internal consulting team?
Ideally, it would all be confidential. We would not divulge the specific details of complaint or investigation. It would be more so a high level discussion. And I'm not quite sure I can speak to a potential liability. I think that may be a legitimate concern.
Yeah.
This is
because
this
go
is
ahead.
Denise. I was thinking perhaps a retired fiduciary might be a good way to go.
If they're retired, they don't have the protection of any E&O insurance. And that's why I was trying to clarify what type of anonymity would this particular consultant have? I mean, do we have to add internal consulting with the licensing bureau to our E&O insurance in case there's any backlash? I think, Rebecca, if you open it up, I'm sure that between your advisory committee fiduciary, your advisory committee members could offer some recommendations of who you might tap to interview and possibly talk to. Or
Ms. Hatch, this is Fred Chanyu, DCA Legal. Could you maybe specify what you had in mind, what you meant by liability? Is it
So
more
it's
like practice liability or?
okay. So say I'm your internal consultant and I'm a practicing fiduciary, and you tap me to give me some direction or possibly what the commonly known practice is or what I would have done in this situation, and it gets back to the person that's being investigated and they want to bring a personal civil suit against me for possibly giving my advice or my direction on their case.
Thank you for the clarification.
I think that's a very legitimate concern, and that's something we can look more into.
I mean, we have the bullseye on our back from, our own clients, because if they didn't have a problem, we wouldn't have a job, from the family members to attorneys to judges to the general public. And now, without pitting ourselves against each other about possible suggestions. I mean, again, we can look at the positive side that here the Bureau is bringing us a problem, but yet we can offer, well, here is a good positive solution to the problem. So again, we can look, the glass is half full or the glass is half empty, but I don't know. I would want to make, if I ever agreed, I would really want to make sure that myself as a licensed professional fiduciary, that my input would remain confidential.
I think that there's no simple solution here to this.
This is Elizabeth Ichikawa. I just had a question. So with the internal consultant, they would not be a paid person. They would just be, I don't quite understand the actual position.
It would be a contract with the Bureau for paid work. Limited hours. It would not be like a full-time position.
Okay, thank you. And have you thought about expanding the possible pool to maybe like a retired public guardian or retired court investigator, somebody who has, maybe they have not worked as a professional fiduciary and would feel a little bit less like they might have a target on their back?
I hadn't thought of that. We can definitely look into that.
Hi, Rebecca. This is Jim Moore. I would think maybe we could also look to the Professional Fiduciary Association possibly for potential candidates for that position.
Agreed.
This is Chi Elder. Rebecca, do we have a list of what the eligibility criteria would be for that internal consultant?
Not at the moment. We do have information on the criteria for subject matter experts, and it would be similar. The scope of work is different, but I would imagine that seeking someone with a similar background would be similar.
I think that would be helpful to have that and any licensing requirement as well for certification.
Thank you.
Since this has to be all done publicly, I'm following up what Chase said, Ms. Elder said, that if we could possibly I know this is probably the inappropriate time to suggest it, but if we could put it on the agenda next time, what the specialist criteria is, and that then we could submit what we would think that your internal consultant would want, and just to be able to help the Bureau along with filling out the criteria of what you want in the experience and information for your internal consultant.
We can do that.
Do we have any additional comments or questions from committee members? Any public comment?
This is the moderator, and at the request of the chair, I've opened the Q&A feature for public comment. If you'd like to make a comment, please click on the Q&A feature, the box with a question mark inside of it. Typically, it's in the lower right side of your computer screen, or if you're on a mobile device, it's behind the 3-dot other options. And you can type the word comment into the text box and hit send. we'll give people a moment to locate and utilize that feature. And I see no request for public comment. Shall I close the Q&A feature?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you to the committee members and for your questions and comments. Thank you, Rebecca. Item number 12, Rebecca, would you please present the status of the Bureau's proposed rulemakings?
Thank you. The first proposed regulation on this list is related to creating a retired and an inactive license type, and it was filed with the Office of Administrative Law on November 2nd. We are currently within the 45-day public comment period, which will close on December 27th. If any member of the public or the advisory committee would like to review this proposed regulation, the text and supporting documents can be found on the Bureau's website. I am hopeful that this regulation will be finalized in early 2022. The second proposed regulation regarding client notification was withdrawn from the Office of Administrative Law on November 16th. The Bureau received many thoughtful comments during the public comment period. Given the substance of the comments and to allow the Bureau sufficient time to carefully consider each one, the Bureau determined it was in the public's best interest to withdraw the package and to allow for ample time to revise the package as appropriate. As always, I'll continue to keep you posted regarding any changes or updates to the Bureau's regulations. I also recommend, if folks want real-time updates, to sign up for our interested parties list on the website. As soon as something moves, we always send something to our interested parties via email. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any comments from committee members? Any public comment?
At the direction of the chair, I've opened up the public comment Q&A feature of WebEx. If anyone has comments on the rulemaking report, and I do see a request from someone representing as Jerry Desmond. Jerry, I'm going to send you a request to unmute your microphone so you can unmute yourself, and you will have 2 minutes to speak. Go ahead, Jerry.
Thank you, Chief and Advisory Committee. Jerry Desmond with the Professional Fiduciary Association of California, PFAC. Just want to express on the client notification regulatory package that we appreciate the challenging efforts to the Bureau to develop a regulatory package that fits the industry, provides notifications, and crosses the T's and dots the I's. And I know that we will continue to be engaged in the process, and we appreciate the consideration that's been given to our comments and others that are out that have been submitted and provided, so that we can end up with something that works. Thank you so much.
And that is the only public comment request we've had. Shall I close the Q&A feature?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you for your comment. Thank you, Rebecca. Moving on to item number 13. Rebecca, will you please conduct the election for chair and vice chair for calendar year 2022?
Sorry, I was muted. So easily the most exciting thing that we do all year is to have an election for chair and vice chair. So I would like to open up this. So this is the election of 2022 Advisory Committee officers for the Professional Fiduciaries Bureau. So nominations are open for the position of chair. Would anyone like to make a nomination for chair?
Hi, Ms. May. This is Wendy Hatch again. I would like to nominate our existing chair, Ms. Elder. She's done a fabulous job this past year, so I would like to nominate her as our chair for 2022.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations for chair?
I would like to second Ms. Hatch's nomination and recognize the current work of our current chair.
Is there any more discussion by our members? I guess I should probably ask Ms. Elder, would you like to be chair again this next year? I have very much enjoyed working with you, and just enjoyed that process, and would be very happy to continue to work with you in this role. So, but I don't want to jump ahead to closing the nominations if you're not 100% on board.
Thank you, Rebecca, and I appreciate the nominations, and I would be glad to serve as the chair of the committee in 2022, and be honored to continue working with all of you next year.
Awesome. So we will, with that, close the nominations unless there's any other discussion. And Angela, can you please conduct a vote by roll call?
Rebecca, this is Fred.
Oh.
Public comments?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Are there any public comments?
This is the moderator. Yes, I've opened up the public comment feature. Typically, it's in the lower right corner of your WebEx screen, a question mark inside a box. Or if you're on a mobile device, it's behind the 3-dot other options. You can put the word comment in the text box and hit send. And I do not see any requests for public comment about the chair role. Shall I close that public comment feature?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Angela, can you please conduct a vote by roll call? And thank you, Fred.
Okay, so I'll call each of your names, and if you are in favor of electing Chi Elder for the 2022 position of chair, please say yes. Bertha Sanchez Hayden,
Yes.
Jim Moore, I'll come back to James, I couldn't hear him. Wendy Hatch,
Yes.
Elizabeth Ichikawa,
Yes.
Denise Nellison,
Yes.
James Moore,
Yes.
thank you, and Chi Elder.
Yes.
Okay, with 6 votes, we have all in favor of electing Chi Elder as the 2022 chair of the committee.
Congratulations, Chi, or condolences, I don't know. And so let's open up nominations for the position of vice chair. Would anyone like to make a nomination for vice chair?
This is Denise Nelson. I would like to nominate Wendy Hatch for that position.
Can I nominate the existing vice chair to continue on with her great service? Or is that me?
Sure.
To be fair, and I think this is probably before the current makeup of this advisory committee. Ms. Hatch was vice chair when we did not have a chair, and so she filled in a lot previously, and of course did a wonderful job. But I can understand wanting to pass it along or not return to it. Bertha, are you interested in continuing on?
Yes, it would be my pleasure to continue on. Thank you.
Were there any other nominations? Is there any discussion by the members? Is there any public comment?
This is the moderator. I've opened the Q&A feature of WebEx for public comment. If you'd like to make a comment about the vice chair, you can go to the Q&A box, typically in the lower right corner of your WebEx screen, or behind the 3-dot other options if you're on a mobile device, and in the text box, put the word comment, and we will take comments in the order received. And I do not see any requests for public comment. Shall I close the Q&A feature?
Yes.
Thank you.
So
Hi,
the nom-
Rebecca. This is Fred, DC Legal Counsel. Just wanna clarify. So, is there two motions right now on the floor, or just one?
I think there's just one.
Just one, and that is for the renomination of the existing vice chair, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And I think we would say that that motion was made by Wendy Hatch, for the record. Okay.
And who was the second?
Oh, I don't think we got a second.
This is Chi Elder. May I move to second the motion?
Great. Thank you, everyone. Angela, please conduct a vote by roll call for vice chair for 2022.
Hello. Okay, so for the vice chair, just to clarify, we did have a nomination that was declined by the person who was nominated, and then that person nominated to renominate the existing vice chair. So I'm going to do a roll call vote, and this will be for renominating Bertha Sanchez Hayden for the position of vice chair. As I call your name. James Moore,
Yes.
Wendy Hatch,
Yes.
Elizabeth Ichikawa,
Yes.
Denise Nelson,
Yes.
Chi Elder,
Yes.
and Bertha Sanchez Hayden.
Yes.
Okay. So with all six, the vice chair, with all six voting for Bertha Sanchez Hayden, she will be the 2022 vice chair of the committee. Thank you.
Thank you both so much for stepping up into these roles. It's just really critical to running these meetings, and just super appreciative. Not just of, I mean, yes, definitely of the two of you, but I am appreciative of this group as a whole, because we just have very thoughtful, communicative members on the advisory committee. So thank you, everyone, for another exciting year in the books, and hopefully a good one next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 14. Angela, what items have you recorded from our meeting today for consideration to be included on future agendas?
I have two of them that I have recorded. One was the SB 602 to differentiate between what the care plan would be, what is different from it than the GC 355 form. The second one is to perhaps put on the agenda that to specialist criteria for the internal consultant. Is there anything that I missed or that you'd like to add?
Are there any other items the committee members would like to add? Any public comment?
This is the moderator. I've opened the Q&A feature of WebEx so that people can suggest ideas for future agenda items. The The Q&A feature is typically located in the lower right corner of your WebEx screen, or if you're on a mobile device, behind the 3-dot other options. And I see no requests for public comment. Shall I close that feature?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Angela. Item number 15 of the agenda, the following meeting dates have been scheduled for the 2022 calendar year. If you have a conflict with these proposed dates, please contact Angela Quadra. And I think everyone has Angela's contact information. Do we have any comments from committee members? Any public comments?
This is the moderator. I've opened up the Q&A feature for any comments on the future meeting dates. If you'd like to comment on that, you can look for the Q&A icon in the lower right corner of your WebEx screen, the question mark inside a square, or on a mobile device, it's behind the 3-dot other options. The question mark icon will be there, and simply type comment in the field and click send. And I do not see any requests for public comment. Shall I close the Q&A feature?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think that's it. And I just want to thank Rebecca and the team again and the advisory committee for all of your hard work and just, helping us to move along throughout the year in 2021 and look forward to a very productive 2022. This meeting is adjourned at 11:21 a.m.